Hello! This year I'm doing a mash-up of Gomez and Morticia for my Halloween costume. So one half of the costume will be Morticia and the other half will be Gomez. Basically because I just love them both so much and I couldn't decide which of them I wanted to be more. So I decided to be both. I took footage of the different stages of the costume. I had to divide it in two because there was too much footage. So the first video will be on the actual sewing and the costume, and the second video will be on all the props and all the extras that come with it, and I suppose the big reveal. So hope you enjoy it. For the Gomez half of the costume, I took a full suit and I basically cut it in half. So I took the trousers, I took off the zip and the sort of placket area here, and all in here is hand sewn, just flipped over and just very carefully hand sewn along the edge so you can't really see it on the other side. Instead of cutting it straight along the back seam, I left like a little extra. Then I can tuck any extra fabric that's pushed out here inside so it's a little bit easier. This was actually a mistake. I didn't mean to cut here. I meant to sort of just go along here and then cut along here and use the waistband. I kept the waistband to hold it on at the waist, but unfortunately I had a brain fog moment and cut straight through. So what I did was added a little bit of elastic in between that joins it up and also makes it a little bit more flexible, so it probably will be a little bit more comfortable. For the jacket, it was a similar thing. I took a full jacket and cut it along the back seam and the lining, and then folded over the jacket and then folded over the lining the other way and just delicately stitched all along here so it's as invisible as possible. The most difficult bit to do was the collar because there's quite a lot of fabric here. For the shirt, it's actually one of those almost like a bib that you tuck these in under your arms, under say a jumper or something that doesn't have a collar, and it allows you to add a collar to it. I took that and again unbuttoned it and then cut down the centre and then again folded along here and tacked it all as neatly as possible. To get it to lay right, I put it on with it held in place, and then Mum helped me just pin it through. I tried to tack as much of the shirt to the lining rather than the fabric of the suit because A, it makes it easier to hide it, and B, it makes the whole thing a little bit more flexible, and that will make it look more like it's a proper suit rather than that it's just one rigid thing. For the neck of the suit, again I tried to tack where it would naturally fall, so the tension would naturally be across the bottom of the collar, and then when it got to, this is the only area I made the change from tacking to as much as the lining as possible to the actual suit itself, because this is where it will lay, and I didn't want to mess about with that too much. You can see it's sewn directly along here just to hold it all completely perfectly in place. And then for the tie, I just got a clip-on tie because it can just clip into the area and it will pretty much hold on there. I kept the tie removable because I didn't know if I wanted to use it for something else, so you can pull it off here, and then it's currently just held in place with a pin to get the placement right, but then I'll probably replace this with some black safety pins so it's invisible. You really need to be holding everything in place perfectly while you sew it so it will hang right. This is for the neck strap, because obviously it'll need to be held around my neck. The neck strap is made of clear elastic, so it's quite stretchy. I used fabric glue to get it in the right area to begin with, so a line of fabric glue on the fabric, a line of fabric glue on the elastic, and then sandwich them together once they'd become a little bit tacky. Because this is plastic, it won't grip in the same way that fabric will with fabric glue, so it's just all these little lines of sewing that go, I wasn't sure which stitch would work better, so some of them go over the top, all the way underneath and over the top, and some of them sort of go over the top, across, over the top, across, and just went like that and alternated to make sure that whichever stitch worked best, it didn't matter because I was using both. To skewer this, I've ordered some bikini clasps because I didn't want to tie it because it's around my throat. So I wanted it to be something that was relatively invisible, but that would be secure, but that I could still get undone quickly if I needed to, because if something's tight around your throat, you want to be able to get it off quickly, just in case, you know. Don't take any chances with stuff that goes around your throat, not a good idea, especially stuff that's going to be relatively tight. So something to bear in mind. As well as the neck tie, I'll also have something around the waist to hold it in place, because I'll need at least 2 straps to hold it against my body enough that it won't fall off, and then any sort of gaping areas, then I can just carefully clip it to the dress underneath to keep it secure. However, with the waist strap, I wanted to create some padding because it's going to be noticeably more pronounced if I have a strap that's connected to the inside of the jacket. It will pull it against my body and it will look more feminine on that side than I would like. So I created, this is just some felt I had lying around and some stuffing I had lying around. It doesn't need to be a perfect shape. I just took held the felt against my side to roughly estimate how wide it would need to be. I got some black elastic that we had in stock, because obviously we have all these things in stock, and before I trimmed it, I sewed it to one of the pieces of elastic. So this is the part that will go against my body, and that means that this will be held tightly against my body. This will allow the padding to still be relatively pronounced, even though this is tight to my body. And then the inside, the lining of the jacket, once I've got the neck all lined up, I can pin this to the jacket and then very carefully sew this to the lining of the jacket. I had an old buckle that my mum had saved, so I've added a buckle on this side, and then it comes round, and I've created 2 holes. I probably don't need 2, but just in case. I used some felt just to secure this to stop it stretching too much, and then I added some eyelets. I added the felt because I thought the eyelets might stretch out of the elastic if I just left them on straight elastic, so that's why the felt is there, to stop it shifting. The trousers will go on first, so there'll be a strap around the waist and the trousers, then this will go on top with the jacket, so there'll be 2 straps around the waist, which will be obvious. So what I'm going to do is, on this main section, I've ordered a wide, sort of like an obi belt with lace on it, and I'll cut that in half and basically cover from here all the way along to here. So on this side it will look like a belt for Morticia's dress rather than just a strap that's holding it on, and it will cover this strap and the strap for the trousers. For Morticia's side of the dress itself is 3/4 length sleeves, and I think in both versions of her she has long sleeves, so I saved an old holey pair of leggings, partially because I think it's got the right texture to it, and partially because it doesn't need hemming, because a jersey won't fray as easily as other materials. So this is an old legging leg. This is the bottom, which works out at being roughly the right width for around my elbow. And then I cut strips in and out, and then because it was too wide at the bottom, I put it on my arm and pinched all along the side and pinned all along here to get it tight to my wrist. So I sewed a zigzag stitch along here, and then the excess, instead of cutting it off because it adds extra strings underneath the wrist, which I think looks quite good, so I've just folded it across, and with a few stitches just to hold it in place, have flattened that out so it's nice and flat and doesn't get uncomfortable under the wrist. This is all the rest of the leggings, which hopefully I will use for the bottom of the dress to create those tendrils. So again, I've just cut strips. I will just safety pin it. Basically, I've got those black safety pins, so I'll safety pin it all along the bottom, and then probably to the underside of the hem, because it'll create a better line and it won't show any safety pin marks afterwards. And then I'll have all the tendrils of the dress, and I can take them off afterwards, and the dress will be just as beautiful as it was. Okay, so this is the half suit completed. You can see the connecting plastic there. You've got the tie along there, and then here is the belt added on top of the thing, so you can see it's sewn to this, and then this covers the fastening along here. You can see at the back, this isn't quite to my size, so it does actually fit me better than it does on here, but you can see it's just there, and I've added a little bit of Velcro just to stop that flapping about, and that's where the skirt will come through. And then this is the dress. It's a collective dress, velvet, and then it's got the slit just here. So the trousers go on under. This tucks up a little bit and slightly to the side, so the bottom half of the dress will move around a little bit and give me a little bit more space, and then everything else goes on top. So this will all be underneath the suit, and then I can add the extra strings on here. Hooray!